Hello and welcome to another episode of the Forever Cash Life Real Estate Investing Podcast. My name is Jack Bosch and I'm your host. And today we're going to talk about the most common mind blocks, mental blocks that people have that prevent them from to be successful in this or for that matter in any other business. So let's get started with what's holding you back and get it out of the way.
Welcome to the Forever Cash Life Real Estate Investing Podcast with your hosts, Jack and Michelle Bosch. Together, let's uncover the secrets to building true wealth through real estate and living a purpose-driven life.
So let's get started. My name is Jack Bosch again, and you are on the Forever Cash Life Real Estate Podcast, Real Estate Investing Podcast. So we're going to talk about some mind blocks, mental blocks, things that internally keep you from being successful. Now, there's two levels to this kind of internal block. One is the stuff you tell yourself about this business, and one is the stuff you tell yourself about yourself. We're going to start with the stuff you tell yourself about this business. So first of all, here's our claim to fame, right? We've done over 4,000 deals. We are have done over 4,000 deals, and our claim to fame is that you can go out there and buy properties, pieces of land for 5 to 25 cents on the dollar and turn around and flip them for half price or full price. Half price usually is a wholesale or closer to full price with seller financing and make thousands of dollars in the process, sometimes tens of thousands, sometimes up every once in a while, even 6 figures on one deal. So now the first thing that somebody says like, well, okay, Jack, I can understand the deal that you can find properties below market value, like house flippers find a $300,000 house for below market value. But you're telling us that we can get a $100,000 deal for 25 grand? Is that what you're telling us? And the answer is yes, I'm telling you can do that. Now, here's the thing. Now, what people say is or that you can get a property for 10 cents on the dollar, that somebody gives you a property for $500. Yes, I'm telling you that's true. So people say, well, Jack, that's too good to be true. Well, let me answer you to that. 4,000 deals, the proof is in the pudding. Hundreds of students, they're doing deals and in our Facebook group, the Land Profit Generator Real Estate Investing Group, there's almost daily success stories with $20,000, $42,000, sometimes also only $1,200. But bottom line, deals every single day that students are doing, showing that this works. So now the question of this is too good to be true comes from a point of view that you're used to, from 2 points of view. First point of view is that you're used to working really hard for every dollar that you make, right? And hard work will be necessary in this business too. But the second point of view is that the point of view is like, why in the world would anyone be willing to give a perfectly fine property away with a 95% discount? So let's address both of those. So the first thing is that, let's answer actually the second one first. So the first thing is what we're focusing on is the kind of properties that in many cases have been in families for a long time. So somebody bought the property 30 years ago, has held on to it for 30 years ago. I mean, I just literally helped one of our students analyze a deal where the owner has bought the property in 1983. So that's 93, 2003, 2013. So that's 37 years that they have held that property. Now the property taxes on the property are almost $1,000 a year. So that means over the last 37 years, they have, in today's money, pretty much paid $37,000 in property taxes on that property, right? And what have they done with it? Nothing, because it's land. That's the one big distinguishing factor on houses versus land. If that would have been a house, the person would have been able to rent it, and he would have been able to rent it for $1,000 a month, meaning that the certain portion of it would have been just be attributed to the property taxes. So if that property had $1,000 a year in property taxes, like basically $80 a month of the rent would be attributed to property taxes, and the tenant would end up paying the property taxes for them. However, in our situation here, it's land. So since it's land, there is no rent coming in. It's land in a residential area. There's houses all around. It's an empty lot. There's no rent that came from that property. So in other words, this person is probably now a little bit older, and they're sick and tired of having that property and sick and tired of letting that of paying these property taxes. So now comes the next thing. So now they're like getting older. They're not necessarily old. Perhaps they bought in the 20s or 30s, but now they're in the 60s or perhaps 70s. And they're like, hey, I don't want this thing anymore. Usually, in many cases, they bought this property because they had plans to down the road retire on the property. Bo built a retirement home, moved from Minnesota to Texas or to Florida or to Tennessee or to Kentucky or wherever they want, or just even move within Minnesota to a lake, and if it's a lakeside property or so, and built that house there that they can go to. But now, usually one of a few things happen. Number one, either they are health-wise not that fit anymore, and therefore there's like, yeah, you know what, I don't want to really move there anymore because I need to be close to my doctors. Number two, their spouse unfortunately dies. So now they're like, what's the fun in that? I don't want to go out on my own and live somewhere. I want to be close to friends and family, to the church. Or everyone is in great health, and the baby and the children have now grandbabies, right? And they all live in the same town. They're like, why in the world would I want to move right now? It sounded like a great idea at the time, but right now, I want to be close to the babies, right? I don't want to move anywhere because there's a baby here, and I want to experience that new generation with me. Or they just simply say, you know what? It was great. We had our boating days, and we had our fun days, and our hiking days, and our health days, but now we just want to be around friends and family in our church, and we're embedded in the community, and we just don't want to move there anymore. So now comes the next thing. So now they're looking to sell. They're looking to this property. They have been paying property taxes for 37 years. They have no more interest in their property. They go to their kids and say, like, "Hey, kids, do you want this property?" And the kids are like, "You know what, Dad? I thought it was a good idea back then, but hey, I'm living la vida loca right now in New York, or I'm building my career. I won't ever go out there. I really don't have an interest on it." So the next thing they do is they go perhaps and list it with a realtor. So now if you ever gone and looked at a realtor's listing, you're going to be puking, because the realtors are house realtors and they're not trained to sell land. Selling land is not harder, it's just different, right? So when you sell land, you got to paint a picture of what you can do with the land. And what the realtor does is they put a picture from Google Earth on there. They say the property's worth $70,000. They put a $70,000 price point on there, and they say, great property to build your dream home. And that's it. And then the property sits there. They offer no financing. They offer no seller financing. They offer no cash purchase discounts, nothing whatsoever. Now, if this is a property in a subdivision that is growing, somebody might still chime that property up, pick that property up. If this property is out a little bit outside of the town, where there's some more selection, a listing like that will 9 out of 10 times not sell. However, a listing done properly with the proper storytelling, the proper pictures, and the proper exposure will sell often like this, as we have shown and our students are showing all the time. So as a result, and particularly at a discount, if you put a property in a great listing with a great headline, with a great description, with a market price discount, or with seller financing, with some nice description of what's around, you dream build, you address directly your target buyer, this property sells like in a matter of typically days or weeks, right? Not in a matter of not selling after 6 months. They have a 6 months listing at $70,000. A bunch of people go peek at it. But since there's not even a map to it, there's no picture to it, there's no description of what you can do with it. There's nothing that they will do with it, and therefore nobody buys the property. So now they're like discouraged. They're like, oh man, I guess my property's not worth that much anyway. And now your letter arrives. And your letter arrives, says, hey, if you want to get rid of the burden of property ownership for this $70,000 property, let's say you go up to 25%, I'm going to offer you about $18,000 for that property. Would you be interested? And they look at that and it's like, man, I have a choice. My kids don't want the property. I don't want the property. I put it up with a realtor, and he couldn't sell it, which really he didn't sell it because he did a crappy job. I really don't want this thing. 18 grand sounds like a good amount of money. I can buy myself a new car with that. I can pay the medical bills. I can renovate the house with that. Let's go for it. And they'll accept your offer for $18,000 on a $70,000 property. So what you do next is you turn around and put this property up for $49,000 and put a bunch of great pictures on there and put the nice description on there and put that blast all over the internet. And boom, you sell that property in no time. And you contact the neighbors and all this kind of stuff, all the things that we teach in our coaching and in our land profit generator programs. And the property sells very, very quickly. So that's your first point. Is like, well, this is too good to be true. Why would a seller sell those properties? Because the seller is in a different mindset. Have you ever gone to a car, have you ever gone to, I follow to some degree the guy called Gary Vaynerchuk. He speaks really foul language, but he has a very brilliant mindset. So I watch him as he's a multi-millionaire, probably approaching 100 million or more in net worth. But he still goes sometimes on garage sales because he loves the hunt of the deal, like the chase of the deal. So he goes to a garage sale and he finds little Matchbox cars that are worth anywhere between $5 and $50 a piece. And he buys them at like 50 cents a piece, and he buys an entire box of them for like $100, 200 of them for $100 or so. And then he makes like several $1,000s with them. Why in the world wouldn't the owner of that just go check out on eBay what they're worth and then go sell them there themselves, right? Because owners are, once they set up their mind that they no longer want that property, they're just like sticking to that. They're basically, it's the garage sale mentality. Like we have had a table. We have a table out there that cost us $9,000. We haven't ordered the new table because the table is 14-year old. We moved into a new house. It doesn't fit anymore. Hey, if somebody offers me $500 for that table, I'll probably sell that table. It's an oversized 7-foot round table, beautiful, gorgeous table in almost immaculate condition and so on. If somebody pays me $500 or $1,000, I sell the table because I've gotten the use out of the table, right? I've used it. I enjoyed that table, and it needs to move out of the house very soon, right? So within the next few months, we're probably going to give that table to a consignment store who is probably going to charge $3,000 for it, and they give us $1,000 for it, and we're just happy with that because we gotten the use out of it, and we're done with it, and we just need to move it out of the house. Have you ever seen a garage sale where you can grab and you see a $1,000 bicycle for sale for $100? It's a perfectly good bike, right? But it's probably only used 3 times, and you can buy it for $100 because they want to get it out of the garage. That's the kind of seller that we are going to go after, right? That's what we're going to go after. Now, the next mindset shift that you have to understand is that because of land, holding on to the land is going to continue cost the people money, right? It's going to continue to cost them money. They don't want to keep paying property taxes. They don't want to keep mowing the lawn. They don't want to keep maintaining the property. They don't want to keep getting violations from the city if the weeds are too tall. They just want to get rid of that property. So now that you understood that because of property taxes and because of life and circumstances that have changed and because of perhaps a bad experience with a bad realtor that couldn't sell the property because they did a crappy job, they're willing to sell these properties to us for just almost nothing. Also, we're dealing with heirs a lot. Heirs don't care about the property value. They don't want to go and evaluate it. You offer them a few $1,000s or a few $100s, they're like, yeah, no, take it, done. I don't want this thing, right? I mean, you even see that. Have you ever watched the show in Las Vegas, the show at the pawn store there? It's like Pawn, P-A-W-N, Pawn something, right? Where they go into a Vegas pawn store and they literally come with like, I don't know, I'm coming with a tool. They say like, this tool is signed by John Lennon, right? It's like, oh, fantastic, right? Great. They bring in somebody, evaluates the signature. They look at it, and it's like, yes, indeed, this is John Lennon's signature. This thing is worth $10,000. And the guy right in front of them, even the expert next to this, is like, okay, so how much are you offering me, Preeti? And the guy in the pawn store says, okay, I'm going to offer you $3,000 for that. Now, why in the world? The guy just told him it's worth 10. and they still accept 3, or they say like, I can't sell it for 3, can you do 5? And they settle on 4, and the guy buys it for $4,000. Why? Because he explains to them very simply, listen, we're a pawn shop, and I need to sell that thing afterwards. I need to sell this tool. That's just a power bank that I just got, charger basically, with a few reports here. But if we need to sell this thing, and I can't buy it at 10 and sell it at 10. That's why I don't make any money. So they buy it at 4, and then they go sell it at 7 or 8 in order to get it out the market quickly. And the sellers accept it because the $3,000 or $4,000 in their pocket is more important than getting maximal market value. They're in a situation or at a life point that they just need cash. And if that and a tool with John Lennon's signature on there is not even as bad. It's not even as urgent as selling a piece of land, because that tool doesn't suck out any money more out of this guy. He has it in his safe at home. But if you have a piece of land, it actually costs property taxes on an ongoing basis. So first of all, because of this many reasons, there's many people who want to get rid of their piece of land, that all it does is suck extra property taxes out of their pocket. So therefore, it happens all the time that people buy these properties. So mindset number 1, shift from why would anyone do that to there is plenty of people who want to sell these properties for nothing. The next kind of thing is that now, once you have the properties, why would they buy my property? Why would I be able to sell this property? Well, the mind shift there is that, I already alluded to it, is because the most sellers, number 1, don't have an idea of where to put the property. They don't know that they can put it on Zillow themselves. They think Zillow is only for realtors. It's not. You can put it on there. They don't know about a Facebook Marketplace. They've never even been there. They don't even know that it exists. They don't even know that you can post it there. They've never heard of land.com or landwatch.com or landflip.com. They've never heard of Facebook groups that talk about buying and selling real estate, that you can put your properties up there. They've never heard they have heard about Craigslist, but they don't know how to put something on Craigslist. They don't want to know how to do that. And by the way, out of all these things, the only thing that the realtors use is Zillow. Everything else, the realtors don't know how to use either, right? So therefore, now you got the ability to put this property in in 5 times as many places as the realtor even knows about. The next thing is, why do they buy your property? Because now you're not selling this property at $70,000, because if you do, it's going to take another half a year to sell. You're going to take that property that you now offered $18,000 on and put it on the market for $49,900, which is a $20,000 discount of market value. And right there, you're going to gain attraction. You're going to be seen. People is like, ooh, what was that? I can go, property values in that area, 70 grand. They're somebody selling it for 50. Let me find out more about it. And right, that might sell it. Or you can do even more. You can also drop it. I mean, if you have it for 18, can you drop it to $39,900? Right? And still make basically $21,000, or after closing costs, $20,000. Can you sell it for $34,900 and still make a $15,000 profit? Yes. And is $15,000 better than what you probably make in your job, or what most people make in their jobs? 100%, right? It's, for many people, $15,000. Like, you do 3 deals like that, and it replaces the average American income for the year. So the next thing is then, so by you knowing how, not only where you post it, but how to post it, right? You can push this lower price market value, lower price sale price, and sell it because if it's a discount, sell it quickly that way. Or what you can also do is you can keep the price at 60 or 65 or 70, and then offer down payment. Offer 20, say, hey, pay me a $10,000 down payment and do monthly payment. Now, in this case, you probably wouldn't want to do that, because if you pay 18 plus closing costs, let's say 19 for the property, and you only get 10 down, you're still 9,000 in the hole. But what if you get a deal that's worth $35,000 and you pay $3,500 for it? Can you sell that deal at $35,000 with a $5,000 down payment, which is more something like a 13% down payment, which is very reasonable. And so now you get a $5,000 down payment, which pays for the closing costs and everything. and basically you pay $3,500, you get 5 right back. You can even do it such that the money comes from the buyer, and you basically do what's called a double closing. And the buyer brings in $5,000. Those $5,000, it was going to be used $3,500 to the seller, $1,500 for the closing of the purchase and the sale. And now you have with zero money out of pocket, you now receive, starting next month, you receive the following month, you start receiving a $500 a month monthly payments for the next 8 to 10 years on this property. You can do that too, right? But because why would you sell this property? Number one, because you put it on 5 more different places. Number two, because you're now offering something that the prior owner didn't offer when he listed it with a realtor, which is seller financing. Heck, it works everywhere. Even our home, we had our house for sale. We moved a year and a half ago into this beautiful 7,000 square foot custom home. But before, we had a 5,000 square foot, 5,400 square foot house that was backing up on a road that over the last 10 years that we lived there went from a small road to a big road with lots of traffic. Well, that was a bad choice from us 10 years ago to move into to buy that house, but it was okay. Right? It was okay. We lived happily ever after there. But now when we sold it, we had trouble selling it because it was abutting that street. So what we did is exactly the same thing. We asked for top market price. Nobody would buy it. We started offering selling financing on it because we pretty much had it paid off. And we offered seller financing on it. And boom, within a matter of a few weeks, somebody came up and paid us $100,000 down, made $100,000 down payment, and bought this property with seller financing, and now makes nice monthly payments with a 2-year balloon. So within 2 years, we get the rest of the money when he goes refinances on his property, right? So typically on land, we don't do balloons, but the point here is the same piece, that you got to change your mind about selling. Selling is about offering the right price, the great terms, having a great listing, and having it all over the place. When you do those 4 things, again, great price, great terms, great listing, and listing it all over the place. When you do those 4 things, your properties will sell. As a matter of fact, we have students that go on places like Zillow, buy properties from long-term owners there, make lower offers, buy properties there, and then have crappy listings, just make the listings amazing again, and go back out and list the same property for twice as what the other guy couldn't sell it for, and list it for twice as much and sell it in a matter of a couple of weeks, because the listing is one of the most important pieces on that property. Okay, so that's another piece here. So now the other part is that internally you're asking yourself is like, well, why should I be able to do this? Well, here's the thing, or why should I deserve to make $14,000 in a deal like that, or $24,000, or $30,000 on a deal? Well, here's the thing, you are used to working hour for hour for hour. So this is what we have been trained in. Society has trained us to just learn. Society has been training us to learn to work for trade dollars for hours, right? You get a job. You work 40 hours, you get paid for 40 hours. You work overtime, you get overtime if you're an hourly job, if you're at McDonald's or something like that. When I started out as a college student, or even before as a high school student, I worked in the liquor store bringing out cases of beer. I worked 3 hours, I got paid 3 hours, right? I was paid once a week. I worked a few afternoons in the afternoon and evening. I worked Saturday morning, and at the end of Saturday, I would get cash. I don't know, whatever it was, $100, $200, and that was for the work of the week. Right? And we're trained to exchange hours. So it's hard to conceive to the human mind that you can work the same time, like the same number of hours, but make an almost unlimited amount of money. Now, always unlimited means it's relative, of course, but there's really is no direct ceiling. So, for example, one of our students right now is doing a deal. Actually, she's a coach now too, Michelle Brown. She's doing a deal right now that for the same time that you do, that somebody else might make $1,500 on the deal. If they buy something for $200 and sell it for $2,000 after a couple of closing costs, they're making $1,500. She just puts the same effort in. Let's say it's a 6-hour effort on the deal, or 10-hour effort total, but then creating listing and everything and selling. So the first person puts in 10 hours and sells and makes $1,500. She puts in 10 hours, but because her deal is a $200,000 deal, that she has under contract for $80,000 and she's selling it for $160,000. I might not be the exact numbers, but this is just as an example. She sells it for $160,000. She's making $80,000 on that deal. So in other words, when you do land flipping, you're leaving the dollar per hour economy. It's the same thing when people ask, how in the world can somebody like Jeff Bezos be worth, the founder of Amazon, be worth $170 billion? How is that fair? He hasn't put in the hours to be worth $170 billion. Guys, if you think that way, you're living in a limited world, and you will never be able to take the lid off your income. You got to take the lid off your income by understanding that there's a world out there where the effort is not in immediate direct relation with the output, right? So in other words, that Jeff Bezos is able to leverage his time. Yes, at the beginning, he worked in this tiny little office. If you ever seen that picture, there's like a picture where he has like a little $25 banner that says Amazon.com, and he works on a little plastic fold-up table or something similar to that. And that's how Amazon started. But then he was able to leverage people, leverage the stock market, leverage capital, leverage organizations in order to catapult him to that up. But he's still the risk taker on it. But the point is, he lives in an environment, in an economy where you don't, where him working an hour more is not going to make Amazon any more or less money, right? It's by him reaching a bigger market share that he reaches that. Is by Amazon's brand becoming it, by Amazon's processes being optimized. And it's the exact same thing here, right? Once you've started with your business at the beginning, yes, you have to put some time in, you have to put some effort in there, but it's the same effort doing an $80,000 deal than it is a $2,000 deal. As a matter of fact, sometimes the $80,000 deal is easier because more people are interested in the $80,000 deal because it's a more attractive property. And people with deeper pockets, with more money, are interested in the $80,000 deal. And as a result, it's sometimes the easier sale. Now, getting the deal requires a little bit more effort in terms of mailings and things like that, but then selling the deal is often easier. So having said that, once you're in the grooves, once you're doing some deals, it's the same thing. Now, you soon gonna get to the end of the hours per effort per deal kind of environment, where it says like the more hours you put in, the more deals you do, the more money you make. That has a very clear ceiling in your life, and you're realizing this already. Because if the hardest working people would make all the money, then all like somebody that works like in the kitchens, in the restaurants, like the guys, if you ever watch like some of these restaurants have like glass fronts so you can look into the kitchen. That's freaking hard work to work in that kitchen. Yet the guys, some of those guys, they walk home with $1,500 to $2,000 a month from that work, right? So hard work doesn't translate into a lot of money. It's smart work, and it's not just smart work, but it's also doing this in a way that you leverage time and effort and systems that lets you get to those deals. So again, so you sell those deals by using systems, not by you knocking on doors, not by you cold calling people. You're selling those properties by putting it out on different places. You're selling these properties by having a virtual assistant that now for every deal, let's say you do a deal with $10,000, right? Your first deal, you use that money, you hire a virtual assistant, it costs $1,000 or $2,000 a month. And now basically that virtual assistant now can do the deal analysis for you. Now can do can do some of these, can create the listings for you. Now can talk to buyers, right? Or can put them all over the place, which frees you up to do more deals. But the mindset, the block that you have to overcome is that block of, hey, if I put in 20 hours, I should be getting 20 hours worth of deals. Now, as you did, we're living in an environment here where if you put in the proper systems, if you use the proper technology, like our Investment Dominator software, right, and if you get trained on it particularly, then you can take this business and you can, with the same amount of time, you can do multiple amounts of deals and catapult your income way, way higher than you could with almost any job in the world. There's probably some specialist jobs that, I mean, I know of a few attorneys that charge like $500 an hour. With that, you can work 2,000 hours a year, full-time, all day long. You make billable hours, you make $1 million, right? I know a guy that is in mergers and acquisition that charges $20,000 for a 4-hour meeting, right? Yes, you can do those things, but even there, it's an hour per hour. He works 4 hours, he gets 20 grand. So his hourly rate is what is that, $5,000 hourly rate. But even that is an hourly rate. He still has a ceiling on it. Having said that, if you put this and make this business a real business, there's literally no ceiling that you can reach. Now, also the last thing that you want to, the mind block that it has, like nobody will take, or talked about nobody will take those deals. Well, seller financing makes it attractive. Seller financing is one of the keys that make these properties attractive, because once you can, because there's lots of people who want to buy your $30,000 to $5,000 property, or the $80,000 property, or the $20,000 property, or even the $10,000 property, but they don't have 10 grand in their pocket. By you offer them the ability to pay $1,000, $2,000, or $10,000, whatever the different price points are, as a down payment, and then make monthly payment, you can sell these properties like hotcakes all day long, right? So, now, so if you think about it, what you gotta, if you summarize that, what you gotta understand is that there are millions of pieces of land in this country. There is millions of owners. Out of those millions of owners, a lot of them love their land and don't want to sell them for pennies on the dollar. But there is a subset of them. There's a percentage of them that are sick and tired of owning these properties, and they have the garage sale mentality. They just want to get rid of these properties. They do not care. Those are the ones we want to focus on. Then what we do is we do what the realtors are not doing. We create an attractive listing. We create a listing that tells a story, that is, we offer a great price, a discounted price, 50, 60% of market value, and you put it up for 20%, right? It's still more than doubling your money. Or we offer seller financing, great, amazing terms, low down, low monthly payments is the key here, right? And then we put it all over the place, right? We put it all over the place, and with that, we are not just increasing our chances of selling the property by like a little bit, but we're taking our property, our chances of selling the property, and increasing it 100-fold. And that's what makes our properties sell quickly. So, and then the other part you got to remember is that you're no longer in this business. You're not in the hours for dollars economy, right? You're not in the hours for dollars. If you tend to spend 10 hours in the highest paying job at $400 an hour, you make $4,000. You spend 10 hours chasing following up or doing the right kind of deal, you can make $80,000, $127,000. You can make the most I've ever seen anyone would do is $250,000, right, on one land deal alone. So you got to get out of that mindset that you can't do that. This is doable. This is doable for everyone, because 8 out of 10, like 80% of all our steps can be outsourced, can be automated. And we actually have coming up a session very soon on September 14th, I believe it starts. If you listen to this after September 14th, still go to the website that I'm going to give you right now, which is called lpglab.com. Go register there, because every once in a while we're doing 5 or 7 day training classes where we teach you the exact in and outs of how this program works. So go register there right now, and then join our Facebook group, the Land Profit Generator Real Estate Investing Group. All right. But most importantly, don't let the itty bitty shitty committee come in and destroy your dream. You can do this. This works. You just have to have understanding. You understand why people are letting go for their properties, why they sometimes why these realtors don't sell these properties, but why we sell these properties like hotcakes, because we are following a different process of having the right listing in the right places all over the place, with the right offer, with a low offer, and then with a seller financing offer that just explodes our ability to sell this property. So with that said, thank you very much. This concludes our podcast for today. Go and give us a 5-star review on iTunes if you're watching it, if you're listening to it there. Give us a thumbs up anywhere else you're watching it. Share it with your friends, because that allows us to get more traction and change more people's lives. With that said, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Enjoyed this episode? Then make sure you like, subscribe, and post your comments and questions below the video. We're looking forward to hearing from you.